If people not doing what you're doing, it doesn't even make sense to speak to them about it because they're not going to understand and they're going to try to discourage you from doing it. Real estate is not a get rich quick. You could get rich over time, but the thing is cash flow. So imagine you going to work and they saying today's your last day, but if you have 5 properties and you bringing in $5,000 a month, you know what I'm saying? Like you be like, okay, so now let me grow this. Because basically that's what happened to me when I got hurt on the job at the post office.
Yeah.
And they didn't pay me for 5 months. I was still able to pay my bills because I had my rental properties. And I started thinking about all the people I knew still working injured, couldn't report the injury because they didn't have another source of income. And honestly, that's what started me to mentoring because I'm like, people need to be prepared for the unexpected. And I'm like, most people is one injury emergency away from being able to pay their bills.
Welcome back to the Building Billions podcast. Today's convo is one that's long overdue, something that I've really been looking forward to. I have a very special guest with me today, Miss Dana Christian, real estate tycoon, specializing in Section 8, out-of-state properties with over 60 properties, and been doing it for about 20 years. She is the best in the game, and it's a pleasure to have her here. Welcome, Dana.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. Did I get everything right?
Yes.
60 plus properties.
Yes.
20 years
Yes.
in the game.
Yep, since 2006.
2006. So really when, this may be a little off, but when people think about investors, they don't think that it's a African-American person or even a lady at that.
Nope.
What kind of clicked in your head? What light bulb turned on and say, hey, I can do this. I can kind of break that mold.
So I started investing in real estate after having anxiety attack at the post office. So I was working at the post office and one night I broke out in a sweat. My heart was racing. I thought I was having a heart attack. And when the ambulance came, they was like, you have an anxiety attack and you had to take some time off. But of course I couldn't take off because I have no sick time and I had children to take care of. So I'm like, what can I do? What can I do? I dropped out of high school in the 9th grade, only had a GED. Only experience I had was cashier experience. And the cashier don't pay like the post office, right? So one night, watching HGTV, Flip This House, I'm like, I can do this. I was like, I just need a realtor, some money, and a contractor. I ain't had no money.
No money.
I ain't had no money. But I took out equity line of credit from my primary resident, and that's how I got started. I found a realtor and went to Home Depot and found a contractor.
Okay.
But I will say I quickly learned that watching a television show for an hour is not going to teach you everything that you need to be successful as a real estate investor. And I realized also flipping the house gave myself another job. So I went into the buy and hold properties as the process of becoming a landlord because that's more passive. Once you find a property, place a tenant in and get a property manager, you just sitting back collecting rent. So I was like, okay, that's my lane.
That's your lane. So how did you go from like your 9 to 5 until like, I'm done with it?
So I started investing in 2006. I didn't actually resign from the post office till 2022. 2018, I had an on-the-job injury. I had my second on-the-job injury, injured my shoulder, and went out of work. And when I went out of work, I kind of got mad at myself because honestly, from 2008 to 2018, I didn't buy any more properties. I had 4 rental properties, and that was it. So when I got injured at the post office and I was out, and that's when I got a mentor, started going to real estate meetups and really learning how to invest in real estate. And really just grew my rental portfolio where I was making like 20 times what I was making at the post office. So again, I went out of work after 5 months of not receiving any pay, right? And the only reason I was able to pay my bills was because I had my rental properties. And that's when I was like, all right, they not paying me, Dana. Like, you got to get back into real estate. So I just started investing in myself, getting a mentor, learned the strategy of using business credit cards because, again, I didn't have no money saved.
Okay.
Right? So I learned the strategy of using business credit cards and started, really investing in real estate. And then 2020, I went back to the doctor 2 years later for a checkup. And when I went for the checkup, the doctor wanted me to have surgery on my other shoulder. And I'm like, no, I don't want to have surgery on my other shoulder because my right shoulder isn't back right.
Are we talking like rotator cuff surgery?
Yeah, rotator cuff.
Ooh, no, that's tough.
So he said, go back. He said, you can go back to work. But he judged me because I went in there with my Rolex on, my Louis Vuitton loafers on, my Louis Vuitton bag. So he's thinking I'm living off of workman's comp. Workman's comp was $2,500. Right? I'm like, are you kidding me? So I didn't go back to work. And of course, I'm posting on social media where my supervisor was watching. So she watched me. So now we're in 2022. So for like 2 years, she watched me. She sent me a letter to come back to work. I'm like, I ain't going. So I ignored the letter. Right. Then the union steward called me and was like, Dana, if you don't come back to work, the supervisor's going to fire you. So first I was like, I don't even care. Like, she can fire me because I wasn't getting paid, right? I didn't care. But then I was like, I'm not giving her that satisfaction. Let me just go ahead and quit on them.
And I know a lot of people kind of get stuck at a job like that because it's good benefits, right?
Correct.
Like good retirement package, good benefits. At least that's what they say.
So I'm not going to say it's bad, right? But you got to think about it, right? When you retire, you get 25% of your salary. Most people can't survive on 100%. So how are you going to survive on 25%? And then when you think about when do you spend the most money? When you off. So when you retire, every day's an off day. So it's really not enough for you to survive. And that's why sometimes you see older people working in Walmart, working in the supermarkets just to supplement their income, right? So again, the post office, I'm not going to act like it didn't do a lot for me financially, right? Because honestly, if I wasn't working at the post office, I might not have been able to buy my primary resident. My primary resident is where I took money from to start investing in real estate.
Right.
Okay?
Right. Yes.
But at the same time, it's life after that, right? And I remember when I first went out of work and I got my first real estate mentor, and she was like, just quit. And I'm like, I'm not quitting, because I'm thinking to myself, like, I want that workman comp they owe me. Like, I've been there for 20 years.
Yes.
So she was like, what you holding on to that job for? So I was like, health insurance. She said, girl, I ain't worked a job in 12 years and I got health insurance. She said, give me something else. But it put me in the mindset of when I first got hired at the post office. The first thing I thought about was they're going to cut off my food stamps. Right? Because sometimes this is what you used to. So if you used to a job providing health insurance for years and you hear how high the cost is, right? You think you can't survive without it. But honestly, my health insurance is cheaper now than when I was working at the post office.
Wow.
Yeah, I was paying like $300 bi-weekly. Now I pay like $400 and change every month. So it's actually cheaper.
Okay. So you were investing while working, right?
Correct. I was investing while working.
What was the vibes at work like?
Nobody knew.
Oh, okay.
I never told anyone because like two people I had spoke to about it, they had negative stuff to say.
Yeah.
You know, everybody have a story about a friend that did it and didn't work out. So I'm like, they not even on the same page. So why talk to them about that? So I learned that, a long time ago that if people not doing what you're doing, it doesn't even make sense to speak to them about it because they're not going to understand and they're going to try to discourage you from doing it. So I never told anyone about it because I started investing, remember, 2006.
Okay.
And I remember 2018 when I bought my first out-of-state property, and it was June 2018. And I was talking to these two ladies at work. They asked what I was doing for my birthday, June 30th. So now I call myself telling them, and I think I was telling them I don't know why I told them. But anyway, so I was like, I'm buying a house for my birthday. I'm closing on a house in Baltimore. They was like, well, why are you doing that? And I was like, why not? They was like, who you know in Baltimore? Nobody. Suppose they don't pay. I said, suppose they do pay. Here it is. This lady is still in the house. It was a turnkey property. And a turnkey property is when you buy a property with a tenant already in the property. And she's still in this property to today. And she pays every month on time. So she's been in this property for over 7 years. So imagine if I'd have listened to the naysayers, right? And when they did it, or start thinking, well, suppose the lady don't pay. I had never been to Baltimore prior to buying this property. I knew nobody in Baltimore.
So that took a risk. Have you always been a risk taker?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's just a characteristic
Yeah.
of you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I have always been a risk taker.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So your first property that you got, you took money out of your primary. Can you kind of walk me through that process?
Yeah. So when you own a property, sometimes, right, you have equity in it. That's the amount between the amount you owe and what the property is worth, right? So I had about $100,000 in equity in my house. So they allowed me to get 70% of it. So they gave me a line of credit, which they give you a check for $70,000.
Wow.
So you can write a check to use it for whatever you want to. So I use it to start investing in real estate.
Now, does that depreciate your home?
No, that don't have anything with depreciating your home. No.
No. What are the risks when you do that? Are there any risks involved?
So yes and no, right? And the reason I say yes and no is because one, they put a second lien on your house, right? But if you decide not to pay the line of credit back, it's going to go as a negative on your personal credit. But they can't foreclose on your home because they're the second lien holder. Because the mortgage company, let's just say Bank of America held my first mortgage, right? And let's just say, well, it was PNC that I had the line of credit with. So PNC was the second lien holder.
Okay.
So if I decide not to pay PNC, right, will go on my credit report and they would have a lien on it. So if I was to ever sell my house, they can get it. They would get their money, but they can't foreclose on my property because they're the second lien holder.
Okay, so what did you eventually do with that primary property after you?
I still live in my primary property. I didn't sell it. I just took out a line of credit. So I still live in it.
Okay.
Yeah, I still live in it.
Did you eventually sell it?
I still live in it
You
now.
still live there now?
I still live in it now.
All
Yeah,
right.
since 2004. And it's so
Okay.
crazy. You know, when people talk about not buying your primary resident, I bought this house in 2004. A year later, I had $100,000 in equity in the house.
Wow.
That I was able to buy from. Now, I will say that, you know, I don't recommend people now to get an equity line of credit on their house, right? And only because there's other options,
Okay.
right? There's other options. And back then, I didn't know anything about business credit cards. And you do have to have good credit also to get that line of credit. So I would always tell people to get business credit cards versus, you know, getting a line of credit, of course, from their primary resident. Even though I started that way. So the interest rate was really low. I think maybe like 2%.
Oh, wow.
And it's interest only. So every month you making a payment, right?
Right.
I still owe that $70,000 at the end. Yeah. So it is a cheaper way, but I'd rather just push people towards business credit cards.
Okay. All right. But it is an alternative way.
It is alternative way. Correct.
All right. So speaking of business credit card, why do you say business versus personal credit cards?
Okay. So I like business credit cards. One, the account itself does not report onto your personal credit profile, even though you have to co-sign for it, but it doesn't report, right? So you can max out the business credit card and your personal credit still stay good. Versus if you use a personal credit card, you max it out, it's going to drop your credit score.
Okay, bingo. All right, so business over personal for sure.
Business over personal for sure.
Okay, cool. So, and you've used this strategy to acquire properties, taking the business credit cards and acquiring the properties.
Since 2018.
Since 2018. Now, where are you finding the properties? Are there different strategies on how to find these properties?
So right now, my main strategy is auctions, right? Because you're going to get properties for pennies on the dollar. Right. I had just showed on Instagram. I do a day with Dana in Detroit because Detroit have an annual auction every year in September. So in August, I do a day with Dana, and we have visit one of my mentees' properties that she got for $3,000.
Wow.
$3,000. Of course, it's not rent ready. Of course, it needs a full rehab, but the full rehab is like $30,000. So she all in $33,000 for a house that a house that's worth $60,000, right? So auction properties, especially tax auctions, it is going to need a full rehab, right? But when you buy those properties, there are so many different strategies you can use, right? So when she bought it for $3,000, she could have sold it for $15,000 without doing anything to it, right? She can rehab it, put a tenant in it, and can collect $1,200 in rent.
Okay.
Or she can sell it for $60,000. So with so many strategies you can use when you buy property is really that cheap, right? So one property that my daughter had brought from the auction last year for $34,000. It did have a squatter in it, and that's one thing that sometimes when you buy these properties in the Midwest, sometimes it will have a squatter in it. So don't let that discourage you if you are thinking about buying the property from an auction, because you get a lawyer, they out in 6 weeks tops.
Okay.
Right? So she bought the property for $34,000. The rehab was $56,000. So she all in like $90,000 using 0% interest business credit cards. In 4 months, the property was completely rehabbed. She got a tenant. I think the tenant paid like $1,800. But this is the kicker here. She did an appraisal on the property. The property got appraised for $153,000. So she was able to refinance this property and do it through a DSCR loan, standing for debt service cover ratio. It's a rental loan, 30-year rental loan, for $120,000. So she paid off the credit cards and paid over $20,000 in her pocket. So now the rental income that she's collecting pays off the DSCR loan and plus puts $700 in her pocket every month.
There you go.
So think about this. She got a property from an auction using business credit cards. Once she get a tenant, the tenant is paying off the rental loan she got, plus giving her cash flow, plus she put money in her pocket. That's a free house.
But what about the money that you had to spend to fix up the house?
That was credit cards. That was the $56,000.
Oh, okay.
That was all credit cards.
Okay.
Yeah. So remember I said she bought the house for $34,000. I know I talk fast, so let me slow down. So she bought the house for $34,000.
Okay.
Right? If her rehab was $56,000, so she all in $90,000 with the purchase and rehab.
Okay.
$90,000, all using 0% interest business credit cards.
Okay.
Okay, so she borrowed somebody else's money. Once the house was completely rehabbed, she got a Section 8 tenant and put in the house. That's paying her $1,800 a month. Right? So now she refinanced the house to a DSCR loan, which is a rental loan. Right? So the DSCR lender gave her $120,000. She paid off the credit cards and put the change in her pocket. Now the Section 8 tenant is paying off the loan, and she got cash flow left from it.
I got you.
Okay.
I got you.
Right?
Yes. Now, is it important to find a home that in a state that is landlord?
Correct. Landlord friendly. Yes, I would
friendly.
definitely recommend that. And, I always tell my mentees, you definitely want to invest in a landlord friendly state.
Okay.
Correct. Yes.
And so Detroit is where she bought the home? Why Detroit? Is that a landlord-friendly state?
Yes. And you can get properties really cheap, right? So I tell my mentees and myself too, and we want to buy properties under $100,000, right? And that was one of the reasons that I left from outside Georgia investing, because you're not going to find a single family house in Georgia for under $250,000, right? So let's think about this. You buy a property in Georgia for $250,000. Let's just say you could collect $2,500 in rent. That meets the 1% rule, meaning that whatever you purchase a house for, you should be able to collect 1% in rental income, right?
Okay.
So now that same $250,000, you can go to a market like Cleveland, Detroit, and buy a single family house probably for $75,000. So that same $250,000, you can buy 3 houses, right? And let's just say each one is paying you $1,500 in rent, right? Let's just say you bought 3, right?
Okay.
So you bought 3 houses with that same $250,000, right?
Right.
Each one is collecting $1,500 in rent. So now you're collecting $4,500 versus $2,500,
Okay.
right? So that's why it make more sense to go to different markets to invest.
Now, when you say auction, can you kind of break that? What does the auction look like? So when I think about auction, I'm thinking people yelling out numbers.
Yes.
Is that how it works?
Yeah.
You do this on the computer or is it in person?
All right. So it's 2 type of auctions. We have mortgage auctions. That's when people don't pay their mortgage and the bank foreclose on it, right? So that's one. Now those properties might be a little high because if somebody owe on a mortgage. Now you talk about maybe 50,000, 100,000 plus. But tax auctions is when people don't pay their property taxes. So these houses is usually free and clear. They much older, right? Because if a person had a mortgage, the taxes will be paid during, when you collect the mortgage, right? So these houses is free and clear. So now some auctions is online and some is in person. Most of them are online, right? So you at your computer and you bid it. So the first thing is figuring out what is your max bid, right? So they're going to tell you what the minimum bid is. So now you have to do your research to figure out what's the most you want to pay for this property. And that depends on the strategy, right?
Okay.
So if you're doing fix and flip, then I tell people that you don't want to bid, you want to be all in, right? Because you have to assume that it needs a complete rehab because these houses is old, right? So let's just say, just to give contents around it, right? So let's say the property is 1,000 square feet, right? And the full rehab is $50 a square foot, right? So that means that your rehab is going to be $50,000.
Okay.
Let's just say the property is worth $100,000, right? So as an investor, since it's from a tax lien, I don't want to be all in more than 60% of the ARV.
Okay.
So that means my purchase and rehab got to equal $60,000. So if I know my rehab is 50, I know I can't bid more than $10,000 for this house. So my max bid is $10,000.
I see. So these houses go up on auction because people are not paying the taxes on
People
them.
have not paid their property taxes.
What can I do to put myself in position not to fall into that category? Like you, I know you heard stories before. Like grandma had a house, she passed, and then it went to auction. Like, how can we prevent these things from happening?
Educating ourselves, paying the taxes, seeing the value in the property, right? Because a lot of times we don't see the value in it, right? When I think about when I first went to to Detroit, and I was talking to a young lady that live in Cleveland, right, Ohio. She was like, "Why are you buying here?" And I said, because it's a gold mine. She was like, nobody's going to rent. People don't pay their rent. And I'm like, people do pay their rent. Like, you don't pay your rent, right? But it's like a lot of times people can't see the value. And I think about New York City 30 years ago, probably 40 years ago by now, but 40 years ago when they was selling brownstones for $1. And we in Harlem couldn't see it. Now those brownstones is worth $2 and $3 million. Right? And they're not making no more land. So real estate can do nothing but go up over time.
Yeah.
Right? So it's really about just getting the education. And we have to think, right, that I might don't want grandma's house, but why are people calling me, asking me for it? Right? Why do I see other nationalities walking up and down the street with their dog?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Something going on. So really just getting the education and bringing the family together, right? Because it might be true, like you might not have $3,000 to pay the taxes, but can we have a family meeting and come together and say, well, let's put our money together so we can pay these taxes so we won't lose it. We own the house free and clear, right? So in the house need work, they got rehab loans, right? That you can get from hard money lenders where they don't look at your credit. They lending you based on the property value.
Okay.
So you might have grandma's house and grandma's house might be worth $300,000, right? The rehab might be $70,000. A hard money lender will lend you the money to fix it up. Right. Then after that, you can go into a rental loan, put a tenant in there and start making some money. So it really all starts with the education. Like we have to educate and, we have to see past the broken down house. Learn to really see past that because other nationalities is coming and buying stuff up.
Yes. And is one of the reasons why you chose Section 8 is just trying to give back to the people, like give them an opportunity to just coming
good.
Just coming from, your upbringing, though. I know it's a place in your heart somewhere.
So, okay, to be honest, so all my houses aren't on Section 8, right?
Okay.
So I grew up in the projects in New York City, and I'm going to just be totally honest with you. It was really about receiving a guaranteed rental income, right? So as far as the people, I want to give them a nice place to live. So I make it really nice. I don't put out trash products. Like, so when I rehab a house for them to live in, like when I update the kitchen and the bathroom, I make sure it's like really nice so that they can be proud to come in, you know, to the
Exactly.
house. So I guess now that I think about it, so yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I know it because
Yeah.
it's like you actually giving somebody an opportunity.
A nice place
And
to
a
live.
nice place to live.
So I'm definitely not a slumlord. So I make sure it's like really nice. And I remember one time somebody was like, you know, why are you buying that towel to put in the bathroom? And I'm like, it's 50 cents more. Like I want it to be like really nice, you know. But yeah. Mhm.
And are there any type of difficulties that you run into when investing in Section 8 properties?
Not really, because I make sure, you know, they have to come out and do an inspection.
Okay.
And you want to make sure your house is clean, safe, and functional anyway. So what are they checking for? To make sure you got smoke detectors, checking the temperature on the water, making sure all the outlets work, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But I have never really ran into an issue if they came out to do an inspection and we didn't pass because maybe we didn't have like a duplex upstairs. You have to have a second way to get out. So we didn't have a fire escape ladder. So we had to go buy one,
Okay.
something like that. But I never ran into any difficulties.
Is rent always paid on time?
Correct.
Okay.
And even my cash tenants.
Okay.
Like, I go into everything with a positive attitude,
Yeah.
right? So, yes, it's a chance somebody might not pay. But I've been a landlord since 2006, and I don't have any horror stories
Exactly.
at all. And I believe, like, what you focus on is what's going to manifest. So if I go into this, like, suppose these people don't pay, they're going to tear up my house, guess what's going to happen? They're going to tear up your house, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what you're focusing on.
Yeah.
And what can somebody really tear up? You can expect the carpet's going to be dirty when somebody move out. The wall is going to be dirty when somebody move out. The refrigerator's going to be dirty. The stove is, you know, the house is going to be dirty, right? But you don't have to clean it. You get somebody to clean it. And honestly, I'll be like, I need some tax write-offs.
Yeah.
Right?
There you go.
I need to write that off on my taxes. So it's nothing where somebody really destroying the house.
Okay.
And if they do, you got insurance. They're going to cover it, right?
Yes.
So you got to take the good with the bad. And I think about, you know, me working at the post office and I hated it. I used to get up every night. I used to work overnight. I used to wake up every night with an attitude saying, I can't wait to retire. Not realizing I'm rushing my life along and not even able to enjoy it because I want to be 65 years old so I can retire.
Yeah.
Right? So when I look at working at the post office and having no anxiety attacks versus investing in real estate, I'm going to take this every day, right? Because not only do I have time freedom, I have financial freedom. I'm building a legacy for my family, creating generational wealth, right? And I always said it doesn't stop with us. It pass, you know, on to our kids, especially the knowledge. All three of my kids is real estate investors.
Mm-hmm. And your grandkids too. They watching.
And
They watching too.
And they be knowing what's a fix and flip, a buy and hold.
Yes.
So they definitely know it.
Yes. So what is the exit strategy on Section 8 properties that you invest in? Is there a time that, you know, you say, hey, it's time to sell it? No, you just let it keep going?
So I'm just going to let it, you know, keep going. You know, as properties get ran down, you know, rehab them, you know, update them. And I don't even have a limit. You know how some people be like, I want 100 houses. I don't have a limit. I'm just going to continue buying because there's two reasons why people invest in real estate, right? One is cash flow and one is to save on taxes. So when I started, it was more or less the cash flow.
Yeah.
But now I'm in a tax bracket where it's to save on taxes.
Okay.
So as long as I'm making money, I have to continue investing in real estate, right? In essence, giving it to Uncle Sam if I don't have to when I can, you know, invest in real estate. So I don't really have an exit strategy. Just keep on investing, you know. And I think some people that sell a portfolio sometimes is when their children aren't interested.
There you go. Yeah.
Right? But my children are interested now. My son, but my daughter, you know what I'm saying? So I already know that I can pass the houses down to them and they're going to keep on going. You know, so I think that's sometimes when people sell, be like, you know what? I don't want the headache, but it's not a headache, right? You get a property manager and they handle everything.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. How do you kind of systemize all of your properties? You have someone like project manager or
so I have
manager?
a property manager, but not for all of them, right? So one's in Atlanta, In Baltimore, I don't have a property manager. So in Cleveland, I do have a property manager.
Okay. Is that expensive to have a property manager?
They charge 10% of whatever you collect the rent. So if the rent is $1,500, $150. So just think for them to handle any calls,
Yes.
you know what I'm saying, is worth it. And the more properties you have, sometimes they go down where it can be 8%.
Yes.
But it's definitely worth it.
Now, is it good to have a handyman on call, like
Correct.
somebody that you know?
Yes. So you definitely want to have a handyman, but most property managers will have a handyman also, right?
Okay.
So when you're thinking about, building your team, having a property manager, having a realtor, having your own, handyman, but most property managers and realtors will know somebody.
And all of these properties, they're not even on your credit because you're buying them.
Yeah. Well, most of my properties I own free and clear because
Okay.
I use the business credit cards.
All right.
Right. So even though my favorite strategy is buy and hold, right?
Yes.
But I will say credit cards is a short-term strategy. Right. So I do fix and flips to pay off the credit cards. Or either I refinance into a DSCR loan. Now, if you get a DSCR loan, those loans are not on your credit and there's no limit on the amount that you can have, right?
Wow.
Because if you buy properties in your primary name, a conventional loan, you only can have 10 on your credit. But you can have 100. They don't care. And these loans is based off the property, right? So how much income this property brings in is how you qualify. Now, they look at your credit, got to be a 680, but they're not asking for W-2s. Basically, you don't have to have a job, and you can qualify for a DSCR loan.
Who's behind the DSCR loans? Is it government based?
Those are private lenders like equity, hedge funds and stuff like that.
Okay.
There's people that have cash.
Okay.
And honestly, that's one of my goals to become a hard money lender.
Yeah.
Right? Because, just think if you're lending on, say, a fix and flip, right? They charge you anywhere from 5 to 8 points just to borrow the money. So if you need $100,000, they charge you $5,000 just to borrow the money. So now, then the interest is going to be anywhere from 10 to 15%. I have paid as much as 10% interest only. So on $100,000, that's $1,500. And then once I finish the deal, I still owe them that $100,000, right? But they taking all the risk. If you don't pay, of course, they foreclosing on your house, right?
Okay.
But you do this when it makes sense, right? So one property I had bought for $80,000. The rehab was $100,000, and I sold the property for $359,000. So it was over $100,000 in equity. So even though I had to pay them money, but I still made $100,000 using their money, and they lent me 100% of the money, right? So a lot of times when we hear the fees that they charge, but if you look at the bigger picture, you're using somebody else's money to make money,
Right.
right? And it's the cost of doing business.
Right.
It's the cost of doing business.
Can you be a hard money lender with business credit cards?
Yes, but you have to have a lot of business credit cards, and I probably really wouldn't.
Okay.
I probably wouldn't, but you could. Plus, if you get some with 0% interest for 18 months, you probably could.
Okay.
You probably could.
I'm just thinking.
No. You probably could.
So fix and flips. Let's talk about fix and flips. What is the strategy behind fixing and flipping a house?
So the strategy behind fixing and flipping is finding a distressed property, a property that needs renovation, in an area where people want to live at, right? Because every area is not a fix and flip.
Right.
So the strategy behind that is finding a property for cheap, like from an auction, renovating it, and then selling it for high, right? And as a fix and flipper, you want to be all in 70% of the ARV, right? So let's just say ARV is at the repair value. So let's just say the properties on a block is selling for $200,000, right? You want to be in 70% of that. So that's $140,000. So that means your purchase price and rehab have to equal $140,000 for it to be a good deal, right? So you need to have a contractor that you can trust, right? And when we looking for contractors, I always tell people find 3.
Yes.
Do a walkthrough, get a scope of work, compare prices, right? And I always say the best isn't the cheapest, and the cheapest isn't the best, right? So you just want to compare,
Okay.
right? And definitely walk through with them to make sure they're not missing something, right? And then, ask questions, right? So with a fix and flip, your deal really is the contractor can
Right.
break your deal because one, they can go over budget, they can take too long, they can do a shitty job, and then you can't sell it for what you want to sell it for.
And with having so many properties, have you ever thought about having your own construction company? No.
You know what? Because I think about who, not how, right? And that's a book, right?
Yes.
Who, not how. Who do I need to hire to get it done, right? So I learned that I have to be the expert at hiring experts, right?
There you go.
And not doing it all. And sometimes we want to do it all to save some money, but to me, time is more valuable, right? So if I can pay somebody to do this and they're going to do a good job, I'm going to do it, right? A lot of times, even with property managers, people are like, well, I'm not going to pay them 10% to collect no money, whatever. But you got to look at the bigger picture, right? Because you might have an issue where a tenant is calling you, right? So I remember one tenant was one duplex I didn't have on with my property manager. And the tenant called me 12 o'clock at nighttime. She got a mice. What you want me to do? what you want me to do?
Exactly.
So I'm like, okay. I was like, well, tomorrow I'll call the exterminator, have them come out. Right? So first I had my contractor go over there and see what was going on. And he said her house was so nasty. Her house was so nasty. So, had a exterminator come out, also plug up holes. And I mean, this lasted for about maybe a month. Every night she texted me. She was like, I got rats in here. They looking at me. I was like, you got to clean your house too.
I was about to say.
I got little kids and they drop, but you still have to clean your house. But we got it under control.
Right.
But I ended up putting on property manager. And I was very sympathetic with her, because I don't want to live with mice. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want them living with mice. And Section 8 is paying, right? So even her caseworker even called me. And I was like, I was doing everything possible. She ended up getting a cat also. But I was sending different exterminators over there. My contractor went over there and was plugging holes. Like, I said, I'm doing everything possible because I don't want her living like that. Because I wouldn't want to live like that. But, but when you think about it, that 10%,
that's nothing.
I told property manager, let's take over this one too.
Yeah, so is it your responsibility as a landlord to get rid of the mice, or is it not her responsibility? Where does the line draw between their responsibility?
I would say it's the landlord responsibility because one of the requirements with Section 8 is no rodents.
Okay.
So no rodents.
Even if the
when
person
they come
is
in
nasty.
So because how they still getting in. You know what I'm saying? So
Sheesh.
I did everything in my power. And they stopped. I'm not sure if it was a cat or closed the holes up, but they it was crazy. It was crazy. But I think it's I would think it's the landlord responsibility.
It's the landlord. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
at least to send an exterminator.
I know you said in Detroit you don't have property managers.
Baltimore.
Baltimore, why not?
Because I only have that one house in Baltimore, right? And she pays me every month on time. She's Zelle.
Okay.
Right? We agreed on the 15th for every month, and she Zelle me every month on the 15th without a problem.
Okay.
So when I first got the house, I was going to get a property manager. Then I was like, well, let me just see how this go. And we 7 years in.
Mm-hmm. What state has been the most profitable for you?
I would say Cleveland because most of my properties is in Cleveland.
Okay.
But I know like Detroit prices is like Cleveland was in 2018.
Okay.
Right? So now in Cleveland, for a single family, you're looking at maybe 80 to 100,000. Detroit, you can still be all in $60,000 or less.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so Detroit is the new gold mine. It's the new Cleveland. Okay, and how long would that last? You think?
Until they got so many abandoned houses.
Okay.
And they are really building up Detroit, though. They're really building up Detroit. So think about it. We buying properties from auctions. So long as if people not paying their taxes, it's always going to be houses. Or if you look at mortgage foreclosures, people not paying their mortgages, right? On this auction, there's over 2,000 houses on the auction that's coming up in September, right? So It been around forever,
Okay.
and it's
ain't
not
going nowhere.
it ain't going nowhere.
Okay.
You know, and as more people definitely know about it because of the internet, right?
Mhm.
But people been doing this for years,
I see.
and then we still have people that's still in doubt, right?
Yes.
And people can't see past the boarded up houses,
Yes.
right? Can't see past, people not paying their rent. And I always said, somebody got to work. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody got to be a tenant.
Right.
My one of my speaking coaches, he'd be like, I like my fries hot at McDonald's. somebody got to work at McDonald's.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? No disrespect to nobody working at McDonald's. So don't, a job is a job. It pay the
Right.
bills. But it's a job for everybody. You
And
know
the
what I'm
person
saying?
that's working at McDonald's can buy property too.
Correct. Definitely can. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? So,
It doesn't matter where you are right now.
Now, yeah.
As long as you
Don't-
get your credit right
Correct.
and go with those strategies that you just said.
yeah. Or even move up into McDonald's to where if you are a cashier, all right, well, one day I can own one of these, become a manager, right? So it's not just staying where you at. That's,
Don't stay where you at.
Yeah.
I like that. So we talked about Section 8. We talked about fix and flips. Any more other strategies that you have done in this real estate industry?
So one, which might be kind of my favorite one in a sense, it's kind of like a wholesale, but kind of different from how other people do it, where I would buy a property from an auction. Say if I buy a property from an auction for $10,000 and I sell it for $20,000 without doing anything to it. So that's a wholesale, strategy that I like to use. And I tell my students, especially like if you bidding, say you live in New York, right? And you decide that you want to bid at the auction in Detroit, but you don't have time to go there and build a team, but you want to make some money in real estate. So I tell people, buy some houses from the auction and just wholesale it, just flip it that way. And then the profit that you make, you can use that for your buy and hold property. So where you're buying properties that's already renovated. So you don't have to worry about dealing with a contractor because you're buying a property that's basically rent ready.
I like that. So wholesaling, fix and flip, buying from the auction. Is that the same thing as the BRRRR method? I know I've heard of that.
So the BRRRR method is the first one I kind of explained.
Okay.
Not I kind of explained, but the one that when I said my daughter bought the house from the auction for $34,000, right? Because BRRRR is buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat.
Ooh.
Right? So she bought the house.
Yes.
She rehabbed it.
Okay.
Right? She rented it out.
Yeah.
Then she refinanced with the DSCR loan, and then she repeat the process using the money all over again.
To me, that sounds like the best method.
Especially if you're buying from auctions, right?
Okay.
Because you don't get properties for cheap. Sometimes when you buy properties from wholesalers, sometimes you at that 70% of the ARV, right? So it might be hard for you to do the BRRRR method.
So you can't be over 70%.
You shouldn't be over 70%. Correct.
Okay. If you do, you bought a bad deal.
No. Yes. If you bought it, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, you bought a bad deal, right? And sometimes, and this is why it's important really to know your numbers, because you might have, if you're buying from a wholesaler, they might tell you the rehab is, $50,000 and there's more. And I laugh right quick because when we not first got into real estate, but got back into real estate in 2018, and we had found this wholesaler, and he had this house he was selling for $80,000. He said the rehab was $40,000 and the property is worth $200 and something thousand. We go see the property. The property didn't have a back on it. So I knew the rehab was easy, $80,000, $90,000. And the comps, the ARVs over there was $160,000. So, but suppose I didn't know my numbers.
Right.
And I'm looking at him as the authority.
Right.
Right. So this is why it's important that you always have to double check, right? You want to find out how much the rehab costs, right? And you can always do a quick analysis, right? Know what the square footage is. And depending on the state you in, like if you're in the Midwest, I would do $50 a square foot, right? And if I'm in Atlanta, I'm doing $80 a square foot, right? So I know basically what the rehab is going to be, right? And then you want to look to see what houses sold for in that area to give you the ARV. And then, do your numbers, but never rely on the person that's selling you the deal.
Exactly.
Right? Because they thinking about their pocket.
Exactly. That makes sense. What does the phrase "the market is about to crash"? What does that mean? I don't even know what that means. Like people always throw that out there and say, "Oh, the market's about to crash."
So you know what? So people make stuff up in their head.
Okay.
So when the market crashed 2008, right? That's because a lot of fraud was going on. Okay, a lot of appraisal fraud, where people was saying houses was worth more than they actually was and was getting loans on it and defaulting on the loans.
Bingo.
So that's what caused the market to crash. A lot of people was losing their jobs, right? So you had the mortgage foreclosures that from people not paying their mortgage and plus the fraud going on. I remember when COVID happened, people talking about the market going to crash. 5 years later, the market did not crash, right? Sometimes it's a correction, right, where houses sit on the market a little longer and then people start dropping the price of their house, right? So,
But that doesn't affect you at all, right?
Not when you a landlord.
Yeah, that doesn't
because you buying low, right? So, and I hate when people say that because it will stop people from investing, thinking that it's going to crash. You know, even with the whole thing with Trump, with the Section 8, right? And they saying, well, why would you rent to Section 8? Trump is going to cut it. So let's go back to 2017 when Trump proposed to cut Section 8. They didn't cut, right? So imagine the person that was going to invest back then but didn't because thinking about they was going to do away with Section 8.
Right.
So now we're in 2025. He's proposing it again. He said cut, right? There's over 5 million people on Section 8. If they cut it by 40%, it's still 3 million people on Section 8. How many houses the average person buying? Exactly. 10, 20, even if you buy 100, that's not even 1% of the 3 million, right? So, and you don't have to rent to Section 8. People always need a place to live. Like I said, all my units are not on Section 8. So I wouldn't let that discourage me from investing, right? And I always say that every day they talking about people losing their jobs, but you get up every day going to work and you ain't thinking about today gonna be your last day, right? I was talking to one of my mentees last week and she was saying that she went to work and they said, today's your last day. Today's your last day. You know what I'm saying? But we scared to take a chance on something that's going to change our life. And I always say, you know, real estate is not a get rich quick, right? But, you know, you could get rich over time. But the thing is cash flow. So imagine you going to work and they saying today's your last day, but if you have 5 properties and you bringing in $5,000 a month, you know what I'm saying? Like, you be like, okay, so now let me grow this.
Right.
Because basically that's what happened to me when I got hurt on the job at the post office. Yeah. And they didn't pay me for 5 months. I was still able to pay my bills because I had my rental properties. And I started thinking about all the people I knew still working injured, couldn't report the injury because they didn't have another source of income. And honestly, that's what started me to mentoring because I'm like, people need to be prepared for the unexpected. And I'm like, most people is one injury emergency away from being able to pay their bills.
Now, I hear you say mentees a lot. Kind of explain that to me. Like, you're a mentor, right? What does it look like from a mentee perspective in your mentorship?
So it look like you're doing the work, right?
Okay. Right.
No, so it looks like, so I have different programs, right? And so right now I'm doing like a done with you, right? Because I feel people learn better that way, where we get on the call, I teach, I show you, and then you do while we on the call, right? So like last night we was on the call preparing for the auction. So I showed them how to find the auction list. I showed them how to verify that a house actually exists, right? Because a lot of times, you know, you're not flying to Detroit to see these houses. So how to check that, right? Then I gave them some addresses and told them to do it while we was on the call.
Okay.
Right? Then we came back and we checked it. Right? So it was really, you know, if you need access to funding, you know, I'll tell you like what banks to go to, a strategy for that. Okay. And then depending on, you know, what's your strategy, if, you know, if you want fix and flip, we talk about fix and flip. If you want buy and hold, I teach you how to buy and hold. If you're interested in just like the wholesale, but the wholesale where you buy from an auction, not when you contact the property owner. I don't teach that type of wholesale. right? So depending on what strategy you want to use is, kind of like what I teach on,
Okay.
right? Because it starts with what you want to do, right? It's like what resources do you have,
Exactly.
right? That's what it all starts with. Like, what
Yes.
resources do you have? Do you have credit? Do you have, funding? Do you have cash? Do you have somebody you can partner with? And then what is your goal, right? Is it for that monthly cash flow, or do you want a lump sum,
Right.
right? And how much time do you have? Do you have time to manage contractors,
Yes.
right? So it all depends on you. So that's the first thing I like my mentees to do is write their goals out. Like, what's your goals? What do you want to accomplish? And then we work from there.
I know you have plenty of successful stories, but what's one successful mentee story that kind of sticks out to you?
So the one that I have a few. One is my oldest mentee that was 86 years old. That was like, I'm buying a house, right? Because she was determined, and sometimes we let our age stop us and we feel like we done missed the boat, right? And as long as you have breath, like, you never too old, right?
Okay.
Then another one mentee actually just bought a 20 unit. Right. So I was proud because I don't even have a 20 unit. I have 60 units, but not one 20 unit. So
Wow.
they bought a 20 unit. And then I have another mentee where she bought a house from Detroit auction. She fixed and flipping it. And I think she's standing to make like $40,000. And her job was laying people off. And she said while people was crying, she said she was laughing because she was prepared, for the unexpected. She was like, all I can think about, like Dana said, be prepared for the unexpected.
Yes.
Yeah. So I got a few.
Yes. I want to talk more about that.
I have another one.
Okay.
This, another. Oh, so one is I have this mentee that had joined, and we grew up together. My mother, and she grew up with her older sister. Her mom passed when she was little. Was best friends, and she sent me a message. I think last month, saying that her net worth was $1 million from taking action and investing in real estate. So I was like, gosh, and it touched me because we grew up together in the same projects.
Yes.
And she was like, if I knew you can do it, Dana, I knew I can do it too. So yeah.
I want to talk about that 20 unit. That sounds amazing. How does someone acquire something like that?
So one, you can do like a DSCR loan, right? So DSCR loan is a rental loan. So let's just say the unit was $500,000, right? I'm not sure how much it was, but let's just say the unit was $500,000, and he can get a DSCR loan for 80% of it, right? So that means that he needs to have $100,000. So the $100,000 that he needs, it can be credit cards, it can be a line of credit. So still, he can still acquire it with none of his own money.
Wow. So if it's $500,000, DCR plays 80%. I need
Correct.
$100K off the business credit card. I acquire the property, and then once I acquire the property, were the tenants already in that place?
Yeah, and the tenants is already in there. So if the property already had property management, then the property manager, you could just keep them on, or you can hire a new property manager. But when you are buying something like that, I will say you want to make sure you collect the rent roll to make sure the tenants is paying, because the last thing you want to do is buy units and the tenants aren't paying rent. So you definitely want to verify that the tenants is paying rent. So you want to see the rent roll. You want to ask for their tax returns too.
The property.
Because you can make up a rent roll, really, right? I need to see those tax returns, and I need to see that it's stamped by a CPA.
Wow.
And it doesn't say self-prepared.
Would you say that's a little bit more risky to do the 20 units? No? It's the same thing? Same thing?
Yeah, it's the same thing.
And you can make more money, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now, is the 20 units, can you find like Section 8?
You can put them on Section 8.
Okay.
You'd be surprised. There's a lot of multi-units. Like, you can go to LoopNet, and that's for commercial real estate. And there's a lot of big units on there.
Where are the auctions at? Like, I know you said it's online, but kind of like what you just said, LoopNet. Is there a website for the auctions?
So, depending on what county, that you want to invest in. So let's just say if I want to invest in Fulton County in Georgia. So I said Fulton County, Georgia tax sale, and then it will come up.
And this is done every month?
So it depends on what state. Every state is different. Georgia is like every month. Detroit is annual, September. Then whatever doesn't sell in September, they sell in October. Ohio is 2 times a week. Monday is the mortgage. Tuesday is the tax. And then annually, they have one in person. Those other ones is online. In person, and actually that's next week. Well, not next week. Well, September 3rd or 4th. Every year they have an annual one with like 400 houses on their list. But that only one is in person.
How often are you playing the auction game? Are you in there every day, every week? No?
So, no. Like, I got units that I'm rehabbing right now. So, in the process of rehabbing that, then I'm working on a software. So, that kind of taking a lot of my attention right now. Because actually, I suppose I was going to bid on these next 2 auctions, but I was like, I need to really stay focused until I launch my software.
All right, cool. I won't talk too much about the software because there's maybe a little proprietary to you.
No. We can talk about the software.
Okay, all right. So, talk to me about the software.
Yeah,
what problems will it solve?
So, it's the property plug. So when I think about the apps that I need to invest in real estate, like checking to see if it's a landlord friendly state, just looking for properties, checking the landlord laws, checking the crime rate, figuring out the return on investment, analyzing the for a fix and flip and pulling comps, right? Because you can't pull comps unless a realtor do it for you. So this software will solve all that. So it's an all-in-one platform for real estate investors.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's going to have educational stuff in there. So just like you asked the question about the address for the website for tax auctions or to find it, you can access. It's going to be powered by AI.
Okay.
So you can ask that question and it will give you the address.
Is this something that you're going to sell to investors? Anybody that wants to buy?
Anybody that want it.
Okay.
So that should be launching probably the end of October. So I'm going to have a big launch party like Alex. So make sure you come.
Yes. Where's that going to be at?
It's going to be in Atlanta.
Okay.
It's going to be in Atlanta.
Party.
So we don't have the date yet. We still, but yeah. So I'm thinking the end of October.
Okay. Is this going to be a recurring model for you for this software, or is it a one-time fee?
So it depends on how you buy, right? So if you buy launch, it would be $997 for lifetime access if you buy as soon as it launch. Then after that, it's going to be either $97 a month or lifetime $97 a month, $997 a year, or $2,500 lifetime if you get it after the launch. So it makes more sense to get it at the launch for $997 for lifetime access.
Bingo.
And then it's teaching in it also. So it's also Avatar Hub where it's going to be lessons in there about investing in real estate.
Have you thought about putting like a GPT in it, like putting all your knowledge?
So yeah. So that's in it, yeah.
Okay, nice. I like that. And I know you have something coming up in September where you're going to take students somewhere. I saw it on your page.
We had that already.
You already had that?
Oh.
In September. Don't you have something in September coming up?
So the auction is in September.
Okay.
So the auction is September, so I'm having a class preparing them for the auction because the auction is online.
Got you.
The 17th and 18th. So the auction is online. But one thing I'm thinking about doing is being on with them on Zoom while it's happening. But I got to just see how that goes because I don't want, because this say if you on the Zoom with me when you're supposed to be bidding, right? So I got to just figure out, and maybe we might just do another auction because I want them to kind of like just see the process and how fast it goes, right? And you're going to be nervous. You're going to be nervous.
Big time.
I remember when I bought my house in Baltimore from the auction. And after I bid it on the house, and they said, you the winning bidder, I broke out in a sweat. I was like, Dana, what are you doing? You don't know nobody in Baltimore. But I was like, you know what? I ain't going to let fear stop me. And that was a good decision because I bid it $70,000 for the house. The house was worth $134,000 at the time, $134,000. Now it's worth like $200,000.
Yes. Okay. That's pretty dope. one thing I want to know for myself, like,
Mm-hmm.
how do you just stay focused? Like, how do you not get distracted and going into different revenue models? Because I have that problem myself. Like, I get distracted so easy and have 5 or 6 things going, and it seems like you focus heavily on one industry. Has it been a time where you've been kind of distracted and people pulling you to do this and that?
Yeah. So yeah, because one time I was doing funding, credit, Toro, trying to sell ebooks, and I had to just focus in, right?
Mhm.
And yeah, so it's natural, right? But I realized that I do taxes. I've been doing taxes since 1990. So this year, I was like, last year's my last year doing taxes. I'm not,
Okay.
because I want to solely be focused on growing my software, right? And my own properties. But yeah, it's like you're gonna get distracted, but then you gotta just come back, be like, all right, did this make sense? Right? Because why make 10,000 here, 10,000 here, 10,000 here, 10,000 here when you can just make 200,000 here if you focus in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think it's natural to get distracted,
Yes.
right? But then you gotta just, bring it back in.
Okay.
Right. And this is why I'm not bidding at the auctions that's coming up.
Yes.
Because I need to be solely focused on what I need to do for this software.
Yes. Yes. Also, you have something that's called a day with Dana. What is the day with Dana?
So a day with Dana is when we go out to different cities and look at properties that's either going to be at the auction, right? Or properties that we have purchased from auctions in the city, and really walk through it so that you can analyze like how much a kitchen costs, how much rehab is, and really see what a property looks like that needs a rehab, that's halfway done, and that's fully rehab, right? So it's just educational in the field.
Okay, but hands-on in the
Hands-on.
field all day long?
Like 4 hours.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You have fun on those? Yes.
You know what? It's so crazy because I was going to stop mentoring, right? I was like, November is my last month mentoring. My inner circle that I have now, I was like, November, that's it. Because I want to solely focus on my software. But after a day with Dana, and people was just saying how it changed their life, I was like, I'm gonna have to figure it out. I'm gonna have to figure it out because, I'm doing a disservice to myself and them because it do bring me joy. Even though sometimes I'll be tired and, I'll be like, I don't feel like getting on this call. Then once I get off the call, I'll be like, oh, I enjoyed that. So I know it's my calling, but I just need to take a break. Like I said, I'm taking the whole month of December off.
Yes.
And then January, I'll be ready. And that's what I used to do before. And I think the last 2 years I didn't do it. But this year, December 1st, I'm off until January 5th. That's it.
Yes.
That's
and you're
it.
not doing taxes next year?
Nope.
No matter
People gonna be
if they
mad
go.
because I had some of those clients for years.
Right.
But my daughter and son know how to do taxes. So they, I push them over there. I can refer them to somebody. But I can't. I don't even want to take the phone call because I don't want to be distracted. I need to be solely focused in on promoting my software.
Promoting the software.
Mm-hmm.
So if they want to get in, they better get in now.
Yeah. That launch, they better get. You ain't gonna miss. Like it's gonna be irresistible offer.
I like that. I like that. That's cool, Dana. So on my podcast, I like to play a little game. It's a little segment. It's called This or That. I'm gonna ask you a question, this or that, and then you gotta tell me, and then also you gotta tell me why.
Okay.
All right. And it's gonna be all the way off topic.
Okay.
We'll just start with like Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant.
I don't like sports.
All right.
So I don't like sports, but I'm gonna say Michael Jordan
Michael Jordan.
because he dark skin.
There you go. All right, bet. All right, cool. So this or that. We going Rolls Royce or Lamborghini?
Rolls Royce because
And
I
why?
have one.
Okay.
We had a Lamborghini also. It made too much noise. Like seemed like it was a guy car more than the Rolls Royce. Like yeah.
You like your Rolls Royce?
I got a Wraith.
What you don't like about it?
What I don't like about it is not my Range Rover.
Okay.
Because I love the Range Rover also. But I like it. It make me feel like accomplished when I'm in it. It felt good driving it. It do. Yeah, it's just something about it, like the stars and the little double R's. Yeah.
Yes. All right. Cool. All right. This or that. We're gonna go $1 million line of credit or $1 million rental portfolio.
Portfolio, $1 million portfolio.
And why?
Because that $1 million portfolio is eventually gonna go up to $2 million, right? And then and if it's free and clear, I can leverage it, right? I can borrow against this. Think about it. I can borrow 80% from it, so I can borrow $800,000 and make more money from it, and the tenants is paying back. So I'm always going to take the portfolio, the rental properties.
Okay. Let's see. This or that. We're gonna go New York or Georgia.
New York.
Why?
Because I'm from New York. Even though I don't like the snow, but you know what? New York is just the people. I just love the people. Like the rudeness, the straight.
You like that? You feel comfortable there?
Yeah, the rudeness, the straightforward,
Yes.
like, yeah, people out walking down the street and seeing people.
Yes.
Yeah.
right.
Now I wouldn't move back there.
You wouldn't move back?
I wouldn't move back, but I'm still gonna pick New York over Georgia.
Okay, that's a bet. So we're gonna go this or that. We're gonna go home cooked meal or going out to eat.
Home cook, because I don't like most people food. And I know I could cook. My husband be like, let somebody else tell you it's good. I'd be like, ooh, this is good. He was like, nah, somebody else got to say it. You can't say it. Yes, I can.
All right. So what's your favorite type of food?
I like lamb chops. I like salmon. I like lasagna. I like Spanish rice. And I cook everything. I like spaghetti. I'm not a lobster person or shrimp person. Like, I cook it, but I'm more like a lamb chop, salmon type of person.
Okay. This or that. Done for you or done with you?
For me to do it for somebody?
Or for you personally? What would you rather have?
I prefer kind of a done for me at this stage in my life.
Okay.
Right? Because sometimes I just don't be having the time to do certain stuff. But at the same time, I want to know. As far as me teaching someone, I prefer a done with you, right? So that they can know how to do it and can teach their family.
Okay. So, bam. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Let me see if I can pull one more out of my hat. This or that. Let's say. Ooh. American Airlines or Delta Airlines? Delta, why?
Because I got American Express card. I get to go in the lounge. And Delta, you get to check your bags for free. I don't know if I ever flew on American Airlines. Maybe once. But I'm just automatically go to Delta. But I know somebody had posted the other day that they like American Airlines better.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I never flew Delta. I always fly American.
For real? I'm going to have to check out American. Can you go into
their lounge is trash.
Their lounge is trash?
Bad. Real bad.
So, but can you go into the Centurion Lounge if you fly on American Airlines, I wonder?
Well, I always go into the Centurion Lounge with my Amex anyway.
Oh, okay. So even though that's right, it doesn't matter who you fly. Because even when we went to flew on Qatar, yeah, we still, okay.
Yes.
I'm going to check out American and see.
Yeah. All right, one more. This or that. If you take a vacation, you want to go out the country or in the country?
I prefer out the country.
Where?
Well, I want to go to Hawaii for a month in December. I like Dubai also. So I would say out the country. Like there are a couple of spots in the country that's on my bucket list, like Alaska, Niagara Falls that I want to hit. Mm-hmm. But other than that, that's it. Like, I prefer to go out the country. Cool. And honestly, because I like some of those airlines like Qatar and Emirates. You ever been on Qatar?
I never have. But I plan to go to Kenya next year.
Go on that airline.
And I think that's where we're going to fly Qatar.
Tier.
Okay.
Do the business class.
Mm-hmm.
Top tier. I've been fiending since last year to get back on. That's sad when you just want to book a flight on
just to get on the plane.
It was so nice. Like, top. I feel everybody needs to experience that type of luxury once in their life.
What's the best way to experience that luxury? So do you know you got any plays on the points and
so
stuff?
you know what? I did have a lot of points because I run ads, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think I did 3 first class tickets to Dubai. Business class tickets. It was like 1 million. 1 million points would have been like $10,000 for the 3 of us.
Okay.
So like points. So I'll recommend people using credit cards for everything, right?
Yes.
So that you can get those points. And you could take a trip. But if you gotta pay cash, pay cash. Everybody needs to experience that type of luxury.
Yes. And where can people find you at, Dana?
So on Instagram, mainly I am Dana Christian on Instagram. Mm-hmm.
You have anything coming up that we need to let the people know other than the software?
I am having a 3-day real estate boot camp, right? Where I will teach you how to pick the best state to invest in, how to pick the best real estate strategy for you, right? Because it's not about what's best for me, it's what's best for you, and how to fund those, to fund your deals. So that's September, I think 22nd through the 24th. And you can find that information on my Instagram page.
Is that virtual?
So yes, it's definitely virtual. So it's at 1:00 in the afternoon.
You got a link that I can put into the description down below?
Yeah, I'll send you a link.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So if you're watching this podcast, make sure you click that link below into the description so you can spend 3 days with Dana. Is that virtual?
It's virtual and it's free. Did we mention
It's
that
free.
it's free?
No, you didn't mention that.
Oh, yeah, it's free. It's free. It's free.
All right.
You know, I always like people to take my free stuff first before they start paying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's spend 3 days with Dana in September. It's a free workshop. You don't want to miss it. She just gave us a lot of game, a lot of strategies. You know, at first I was scared to get into real estate. Now you kind of got me feeling kind of comfortable with it, especially with the BRRRR method.
Yeah.
I think, you know, if I was to get into it, that's the kind of strategy that I would go. It seems like you can buy, take money, put money in, take money out, put money back in. I feel like it's, I don't know. I feel like that's just the right strategy for me.
Is. And I feel everybody should invest in real estate, right? Even if you just have one house, one thing, people always need a place to live and to save on taxes, right? Because unlike your primary resident investment property, you can write off the purchase of the house against your income. So let's just say your job, you made $100,000. You bought a house for $75,000. Now your
income is $25,000.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. And then continue on. You can write off the interest, you know, the interest payment you made, any type of like the tax deductions is crazy. That, you know, nobody talks about, right? So going back to 2 reasons why people invest in real estate. One is cash flow, right? So everybody can use some extra cash flow. And then depending on, it's not even dependent on, no matter how much you make, you know, you can save on taxes. But if you definitely 6 and 7 figure earner, you need to be investing in real estate to save on taxes.
Facts. Well, thank you, Dana. Thank you for blessing my platform. Thank you for blessing my audience. You know, if you learned something, make sure you share this episode with somebody that you want to see win. Make sure you go follow Dana. Make sure you go invest into some real estate. But before you do that, make sure you get your credit in position so you can invest without hassles. You know, that is the position. Life is all about being in position. And once you're in position, you're going to always catch the ball. You're going to always score the touchdown if you're in position. So let's make sure that we get in position. Let's make sure that we find a mentor like Dana in the real estate industry. And let's make sure we build wealth. And also, I think one of the key important things that she said is just educate your family. Educate your family on wealth. That way grandma doesn't lose the house and that house can stay into the family. Thank you, Dana. I appreciate you.
All right, thank you.
We out.